The Life of Chuck is our next featured review. Let's talk about this. It was on my list. I think it was my number one most anticipated of the summer. It was my number one pick. It was my number one pick. Yeah. That's an interesting draft that we did back then. Wow. Okay.
If that one was going to be on my list, at least. This one was, but I think you drafted it.
The Life of Chuck was the TIFF Audience Award winner last year. And after a long run of TIFF Audience Award winners getting nominated for Best Picture, Neon decides to hold Life of Chuck for a summer release the next year, which I still don't quite understand, but this also doesn't feel like some of the other audience award winners that end up getting those Best Picture nominations. This was written and directed by Mike Flanagan, based on a Stephen King story, and it is about Chuck, played by Tom Hiddleston. It's kind of about Chuck. Is it about Chuck? It might be about Chuck. This is a star-studded cast with faces you recognize and faces you kind of go, now, what is that? I saw this with Todd, and multiple times where I'm like, why do I know that face? And then some faces that I thought were certain people that actually weren't certain people. But you have appearances from Jacob Tremblay, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, Mia Sara, Carl Lumley, Mark Hamill, David Dastmalchian, Koryanka Kilcher, Matthew Lillard. There is a long list of people that pop up in this movie. And it tells the story of Chuck, but in a very unique way. It's episodic. It's broken up into 3 parts. It has stories from childhood, stories from adult, and then it starts with a story that gets you on a completely different route entirely. That is kind of a fascinating look at what we don't really know, where most of our characters actually pop up. And it takes you a long time to realize where this actually fits into the whole story of the life of Chuck, other than 39 great years. Thanks, Chuck. And this is Stephen King back to, like, I'd say the closest relative is like The Green Mile, where it's kind of telling a standard everyday story with some supernatural thrown into it. Like, Tom Hiddleston is the poster child for this movie because he is Chuck, but he's barely in it. The little bit he's in, I mean, he's good. He's serviceable. Probably your main character. Is there a main character? I don't think there is a main character. You do have the big headline performance is Mark Hamill, who gives a very like Judd Hirsch in The Fabelmans type of performance in this, where he's got his couple scenes where he's tearing you apart. Almost the same accent, actually. This is a movie you just kind of have to just sit back and live in for the 2 hours that you have it. The music is one of those scores that just kind of brings you into it. Like, Flanagan does more of the like thriller type stuff, some of the more thriller Stephen King stuff, and this definitely feels like Darabont making his Shawshank and his Green Mile and then going off and doing The Mist and The Walking Dead. This is Flanagan doing his version of Shawshank and the Green Mile, of just letting you sit in this kind of unique story here of just an everyman, but kind of how he lives an extraordinary life being an everyman, and has these incredible people around him that he gives so much life to. It's impossible not to be taken in by it. I don't know if it's a masterpiece. It might be, like, upon future watches, it could end up getting there. Right now, I'm giving it 3.5 stars. I loved this movie. And I love just kind of sitting and living with these characters and just experiencing it. I did not love sitting in the theater with 2 like 70-year-old women who were giving their commentary like it was a Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie the entire time. Like that, like someone actually had to get up and say, "Stop talking," because they actually like were giving away plot points along the way too. So that was weird,
early on they gave away a plot point that doesn't come up for another hour.
yeah, they did. Anyways, I'm giving it 3.5 stars though. Like, this is a movie that I just loved living with for 2 hours. Todd, you were sitting right next to me. Did we watch the same movie?
I mean, sorta. You like it more than I did. The first act I thought was kind of interminable. Like, I mean, I know. I mean, it all eventually comes up in like an Inception type of way or something like that. But it was a chore to get through like the first like half hour of this thing. Edgy for
Oh no.
is a great actor, but I'm baffled in the way it started. And I know it's boring to talk about like the movie isn't this, but like if it had jumped around more between the storylines the way that Strange Darling did, I think it would have really done wonders for the momentum of the movie. The middle portion is kind of interesting. It's just like a dance number basically. And then you get to where it actually gets really interesting, which is the concluding portion, because you get the backstory and you get the things all kind of make sense. But I wish we had gone into that earlier and like kind of weaved in and out. But seeing things through the eyes of child Chuck is more relatable and palatable than Hiddleston's eyes or through his mind or whatever the hell happens. I think the movie is like really long, but it's not necessarily boring. I would like to think it gets better the more you watch it, but I can't think that I would actually want to turn this on at any point, or at least it wouldn't be a priority of mine. Stephen King wrote this story. He obviously had a lot to say. Mike Flanagan clearly has a lot to say in his adaptation, but I just wanted it to be like more grounded because I don't think it really is cohesive enough to form like any sort of like structure. I mean, I don't mind the corniness and weepiness or whatever, like that pushes in the last 20 minutes. I just don't think the momentum leading up to it really worked on me. But I could see how this could be a movie that is labeled as being life-changing or something, depending on how you take it in, what state of mind you're in, when you take it in, where even. There's a little Forrest Gump in it, honestly. I'm at 2.5 stars. I don't know. I mean, it is such a weird movie to watch.
Yeah, which makes it a weird audience winner at TIFF.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that there would be any sort of consensus on this. Like it would. I mean, maybe it just completely swept away one showing or something, and like all of them voted for it. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, Zach, where are you?
All right. Well, Terry, you said that you saw Materialists, and when it opened with the, ancient civilizations, you were like, what movie am I watching? I had a very similar incident walking into this movie because when I went into this movie, I expected to see the one and only Chuck, Charles Barkley. Terrible. No, Kim Jong-il, he a knucklehead, Kenny.
Gonna blow up the world.
What happened? Where was the life of Chuck? Anyway, that was a bad joke. I 100% agree.
Move on.
I know. It was low-hanging fruit. I basically 100% agree with Todd on this one. I was incredibly bored by the first act, or Act 3, whatever they wanted to call it. It was like maybe they saw Strange Darling and were like, that's cool, let's do that. No reason whatsoever in this movie to not make it go. See, I thought I was reminded a little bit of The Fountain, which did the thing that every once in a while it'd go back and forth. And that was kind of cool because that built up a little bit of tension about all the stories moving forward. In this movie, it's very hard to understand why Act 3 comes where it comes. I think you actually need to start in Act 1 and just kind of go back and forth between them, because by the end of Act 3, you're like, well, this is how the story ends. I'm not really sure if I care about how it essentially begins. I can't totally say that I understand this movie. This is the best praise that I can give this movie. I wish I could sit here and say, this movie stunk. I hated it. I fell asleep during the first act, which I did. The dancing was lame. The performances were lame. I wish I could say that because I feel those things. And yet at the same time, maybe this movie is smarter than I am. I don't know. It's strange. I think if this movie were French, I'd like it a lot more. The movie posits a lot of very interesting, you could almost say Carl Sagan-esque, because I think that's one of the source materials that Stephen King is drawing from. This idea about interconnectedness and maybe string theory or something, very postmodern about how the world is all interconnected, something very evolutionary. It just went beyond me. And I also have to say that because I fell asleep during the first act, I do think I missed some of the ways that those intersect with each other. So I want to give the movie credit. But it's hard because I think even though this came from the heart and soul of Mike Flanagan, he's probably the LVP of this movie because I think this movie is pretty poorly made. I think the cinematography in this movie is lame. I think the set pieces, that strip mall where they're at, where the dancing occurs in the second act, is really lame. If this movie were on Netflix, I don't think anyone would remember it. There's just nothing that notable about it. I think it's going for very contrived, saccharine sort of feelings by the end of it. It's meant to uplift you, but it doesn't even connect the pieces with it. You're just kind of left wondering, like, what did I just watch? So I'm going to go at a pretty generous 2 stars because I can't fully say that I understand the movie. If someone smarter than me were to come on and say, Zach, this is how acts 1, 2, and 3 connected, and this is why you had to see in act 1 how it pays off in act 3, I might buy it. Okay, there might be some YouTuber out there who's willing to do a deep dive on this movie that would make me understand it more. But right now, I'm at a loss with it. I just have to say that it wasn't really interesting or captivating at all. And anytime you're trying to make a movie where the centerpiece is how a character expresses themselves through dance, I think I'm not on that train. I'm sorry. I'd rather see a movie about 2 dudes in the woods. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's a little disingenuous, but.
See,
I want to Chuck. Where's Charles Barkley? That was I'm disappointed.
I'm like the exact opposite of you guys. I thought the beginning was the best part.
For an act about the end of the world, it was incredibly uninteresting. I mean, you would think that the end of the world would be captivating and exciting. You know, bring in the Roland Emmerich of it, okay? But that end of the world was incredibly dull.
It plays like that one Steve Carell movie, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. I mean, it kind of has that dryness to it in that first act. I mean, it makes sense eventually, but I don't know. I thought that the second part, I thought the whole set of the dance scene, I thought was really cool because it kind of looked like the Truman Show. Kind of looked like Lancaster Square a little bit, you know.
It did kind of feel fake in some way. Like it felt like it was supposed to be a stage. Like Truman Show is a good way of putting it. But yeah. I thought the end was interesting. I thought Mark Hamill, like the buzz around him, I think is overblown. He's a caricature in his parts. It's not that like super impressive. It's Mark Hamill actually giving a nuanced performance.
And so someone playing it drunk. I mean, people love that.
Yeah. I also got like a distinct Big Fish flavor from this movie at times, and I wish the movie had maybe gone in that direction. You know, Big Fish is no masterpiece, but what I kind of liked about that movie was that basically the Albert Finney character, who's the old guy in the movie, you don't know if he's telling the truth or not. And I think had the movie done 2 things, had it done what Todd said, is that intersperse the 3 acts, and then maybe make Chuck a little bit of an unreliable narrator. That could have made things interesting. Maybe this is sort of a figment of his imagination. Maybe things didn't actually happen this way. That would, I think, even bring out some more of the poignancy of it, but it just doesn't, ironically, have enough imagination to do that. And I think what you're left with is this sort of faux new age bullshit at the end of the movie. It's like we're supposed to appreciate life for what it is. Give me a break. I mean, it's hollow. It doesn't answer its own questions because I don't think it has an answer to its own questions. It wants the audience to be moved to make their own interpretations, which a lot of times is good as a French movie, but not as this kind of routine, very highly produced, highly ornate, big budget movie. So I'm at a loss with it.
Can we just shout out Mia Sara here for a second, and the fact that she's acting for the first time in a movie in 12, 13 years, 14 years?
Well, the last movie she did was with Mike Flanagan, so I think
2011.
He brings out the best in her. Yeah, Midnight Mass.
Flanagan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while for her. So
I wasn't aware she was still alive. So,
well, there's that side of it. Sure.
Is she the front runner for the Haley Mills Pino Award for 2025? We didn't know you were still alive, Pino.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah, I think this is definitely a movie where if you get on its wavelength, you're gonna have a blast with it, and if you don't, then it's gonna be a
blast. Really?
Like, well, maybe not a blast, but you're going to immerse yourself in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be an experience. But if you're not on the wavelength, it's not going to work for you.
With all due respect to you, Terry, because I respect your intelligence and your film criticism. This movie is for people. This movie is for posers. I think people come out of this movie thinking they're smart and thinking that they understand it when there's nothing to understand. And so it's a movie that makes you feel good about being smart because you understood the movie, even though there's nothing to understand about it. But that's not your review, and I'm not saying that's what you think. I just think that this is a movie that, in some ways, it's like fan service. It's just meant to make you feel good and smart, and it doesn't. Had it been a French abstract movie, maybe it would actually have a little bit more credentials to it. But and a Charles Barkley cameo from here.
Every movie is better if it's French.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
La vie de Chuck.
Bring me to a happy place.
Bring me to a happy place. Todd's given it 2.5. Zach has given it 2. It is also in theaters.